It was a very bad performance, mostly really by the Packers, because honestly, the Cowboys overachieved last night as 6.5-point home dogs in prime
Yeah,
time.
they certainly did. Speaking of dogs today, I think that I think that this is a really, really obviously it's a gross slate. I mean, anybody can tell you that. A lot of bad offenses are playing tonight, but it does feel like the Jets have a really good shot at winning this game tonight.
Ooh, why?
I think that we have seen three examples of really weird Jets games, and eventually at some point we're going to start to see some traction. And I think they do have a get right spot of sorts. I know it's a division game, but most of their games have either been, at least with Justin Fields, have been extreme polar opposites. Right? We had a shootout, and then we had a blowout. So I do think that with him getting back here with the full week of practice, I see a little bit more consistency in their play. I think this is a great spot for Breece Hall to get right. He hasn't really been a huge passing threat this season so far, but I think tonight's the night to do that. And I just think that Miami is just not a good football team. So I do think that the Jets can get a nice step forward here, and I do think this is a get right Justin Fields spot.
What props would you use then to back up the Jets potentially winning?
I do really like the Breece Hall passing stuff. We just saw James Cook absolutely demolish the Dolphins as a home favorite. I know that this is two different, it's apples to oranges, Bills and Jets, but I like this spot for Breece. He completely has the running back room. I was coming in this season thinking Braylon Allen was going to get more touches through 3 games. That's not the story. And I do think that if we get a spot where Breece Hall has a competitive game for 4 quarters, he can get to the 20-touch load. He has not been efficient on the ground. It's not really where I want it necessarily. I guess we could play rush plus receiving, but I think
I love his receiving tonight.
I think what the move is you take Breece catches, you take him to get over his receiving prop. I think it's around 21 yards. Miami's allowed 50-plus receiving yards a game to opposing running backs. So I think that's the move there.
No, I 100% agree. I said that also in the newsletter, but I think I think Matt was saying in the chat. I was looking at Pickett, which has all the best lines in the market, and I'm pretty sure that the books mispriced Breece Hall this morning because I didn't bet it on time, which I wish I did because then I would have had the ticket to prove it. But I ended up having to take my dog out to the park because she was annoying the hell out of me, and I just didn't end up betting it in time. But this morning, I have it written down 9.5 and 10.5 receiving yards. And that number is obviously up to 20.5. So I think something happened.
Something definitely happened. I think that this is, actually, I already gave this out to Trinity Analytics members, but he's my ladder play tonight. I think he has a shot at 50-plus receiving yards.
Wow. Okay. That's
outside shot. Break one. Keep going.
Well, I was looking at his numbers from when he faces any kind of defense that's bottom 10 against pass catching backs dating back to last year. And he had 21 plus in 4 of 6. He had at least 21 receiving yards in. And 4 of the 6 running backs to face Miami this year have gone over their receiving yards prop.
Right. That's the one that I like that second stat a little bit more just because it shows how clearly terrible their defense is against running backs in space. I think that we have seen, like I said, like 3 really weird Jets games, and I think at some point things will regress, or else I'm just, I'll just eat that take, I guess, because I think the Jets are better than what they've shown through 3 weeks.
Ooh, okay. And I mean, listen, 2.5 is a decent teaser spot, but I don't know how much. I mean, maybe you could, if you really wanted to tease the Broncos down, maybe you could do a teaser that way for tonight's game. But I don't really like to bet wide receivers outside of longest reception props. If I find some kind of edge, I'll turn to you. What wide receivers would you look at tonight for overs or unders?
Oh, this is a really tough slate for wide receivers. I'm completely kind of just on the fade territory for the Bengals here. They're just coming off one of their worst losses in their actual existence, and I just don't think anything gets easier going into Denver on prime time. I know that Denver hasn't, like, I caught the tail end of what Matt was saying about Denver, and I do think that they came in extremely overhyped to be one of the best teams in the AFC, but at the same time, I think that they have a better defense than the Vikings did. And they obviously just did anything that they had to do against Cincinnati last week. So there are many ways for Jake Browning to pumpkin. I think that he could definitely do that tonight. I'm actually honestly even considering T. Higgins unders. I don't like it. I don't love it necessarily, but he has one touchdown for what it's worth. So I give him credit for that. But you take that away, and he has like 5 catches for 20 yards this season. So I don't know. I'm a little bit off on the wide receiver market today. There's nothing that really stands out to me outside of like Wilson receptions, just because that's been a market that's trended well with Justin Fields so far in limited space. I think that the only one that really makes sense is Cortland Sutton, just because I do think that you take the actual team total. And I do think that are you in agreement that they're able to hit 25 plus points tonight? Do you have a read on that?
For the Jets?
For Denver.
Or Denver? Yeah, I'm in agreement with that against the Bengals defense. That's terrible, especially against the pass. I like Bo Nix tonight a lot for a lot of overs, especially his passing touchdowns over. So I could definitely see this one going over against the Bengals, because the Broncos, most of their game is going to be to try to throw the football anyway.
Right.
And that's exactly where the Bengals' weakness is. The latter play, by the way, AOD, was Breece Hall on the Jets over his receiving yards. That was his latter play for Jared. Yep. Chase Brown, do you think 20 receiving yards?
Oh, man. He's caught 2 balls in every game this season, and that's good. I mean, obviously he has the good role there. Samaje Perine is banged up a little bit. He doesn't have a designation, but he did have a hand issue, so maybe that gives him a couple more pass catching snaps. But I still think that Brown, 80% running back touches on the team so far. He's running around 40% of the time whenever Browning drops back. You have the right script for it. I just don't know how much I love it. Like, I think 3 for 25 through the air for Brown is completely in play, but I don't really think there's much room there.
Let's put together our SGP like we always do every Monday. And let me get the Pickett app up so that we can use Pickett. And I was looking at some stuff on props.cash today that was pretty helpful in deciding certain things, like certain primetime numbers. I did see the Bo Nix over 1.5 passing touchdowns in 5 of 7 games when he's faced teams that are bottom 10 in passing touchdowns allowed. Bo Nix has gone over. So that was intriguing. And he's gone under 5.5 rush attempts, according to props.cash, in 2 of 3 primetime games. So I thought that was intriguing as well for Bo Nix. So we'll do SGP, starting with this Jets game. And obviously wait, let me share the screen. Share. Not that. Remove that. Jared's back. Okay. So let's start with props.cash and figuring out which props that we want. So we'll start with the receiving yards for Breece Hall, because we're both on the same page there for Breece Hall. So Breece Hall over receiving yards. Which number do you want?
What number do I want? I think that I'm willing to go out on a limb and go over 24.5.
Okay, some plus money there. Over 24.5 receiving yards for Breece Hall. Anything else in this game? Did you want to take the 3 with the Jets?
I do. I like that number a lot. I think that I know it's a division game, but I'll give the dog a shot here. And not that we need to go that far into it, but the refs are very, very big underdog refs in terms of the spread.
Okay. What props did you like most for this Bengals-Broncos game?
Let's see. I think what I like the most is the Dobbins touchdown. I think the last time I checked was like a minus 120 situation.
Minus 115 on FanDuel, so we could add that in.
Yeah, that's what, if we're expecting the Broncos to score 25 plus points, I find it hard to believe that Dobbins, who's, got 75% of the inside the 5 carries, can't get in there.
4 legs here is 11-1 if we want to get and I added Bo Nix over passing touchdowns because I like that one. Okay. Do we want to add in the Broncos team total, or do we want to just keep it 4 legs?
I think we just keep it 4 legs because, yeah,
It's a nice
I think
payout, 11-1.
it's a nice one. I
Just
think
under 12-1 for that.
there's still a world where they could underperform in a spot like this where we just saw the Bengals lose by like 45 points, and if they scored 24, we would lose that bet even if both of our Broncos players scored.
Well, this is what's crazy. So I love on Pickett that you can use the app and it tells you when you put your SGP in, it tells you where you could go. And sometimes you have to change certain numbers. Like it'll sometimes tell me, okay, maybe Brees Hall, I have to get at 23.5, but overall it'll give me better odds for the payout. Like it didn't do that, but I'm just saying hypothetically, it will tell you where you get your best payout for the players and what you're looking for. So this for us to get Bo Nix over passing touchdowns, Dobbins anytime touchdown, Jets +3, oy vey, and Brees Hall receiving yards over 24.5. We get it at just under 12-1. So that'd be a nice little payout, and I'm going to bet it tonight for $100.
Certainly would be.
If the Jets don't cover and we go into the night game with nothing, I'm going to be upset. I'm just kidding. I mean, a little bit upset. A little bit. It's fun, though. I love it. And I understand what you're saying with the Jets. Do you have any concerns about how Tua's 3-0 against the Jets straight up and 3-2 straight against the spread?
Not really. I think that there's just for me, this is more of a bet on the fact that the Dolphins just don't have a back end, and I just feel like at some point, I do think that they. So I will give them credit, and I will say they definitely did impress against the Bills. And I just think that, division games should probably be treated a bit differently when it comes to spread stuff. So I get it. I just am believing in the Jets, and that probably results in a failure for me.
Okay. And by the way, Book It Trent just had the Dolphins and the Bengals on his card tonight. So
I wasn't going to say it, but that helps me. It helps my confidence.
Even though he had the Chiefs yesterday. So he's actually been having a pretty decent season, which is unfortunate for all of us faders.